tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What's up? That was in the show, in case you're like, why are they playing that song? Hey guys, we're back with another Gracepoint, episode 8. Zach is not here, he's out in the field, finding the case, scoping it out. I'm Kelly, and here's my other awesome co-hosts.
Hello everyone, I'm Adrian Snow.
Hi everyone, it's Anastacia Waller.
Yeah. Super cool episode, right? Dramatic. Everybody's on edge, right?
Yes.
I feel like everybody's just got something, like a chip on their shoulder. Everybody's up to something. I don't know.
Everyone's on edge, but also this is the first time in the whole series that we've seen some happiness out of the Solanos. So that was kind of a nice change. And I'm sure for them as the characters, they felt a little bit guilty being happy, because I felt a little guilty watching them be happy. But it was nice to see too.
Yeah, I mean, they have to move on. She doesn't want to become like Nina's mom. But we'll get into that in a bit. Let's first start off at the beginning. They're still searching for Tommy. He's missing. Doesn't search that long because the Pastor Paul, finds him with a scraped knee.
Looked gashed, like a gashed
like
knee.
a pretty bloody knee. So that's a relief that he's not dead.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, well, Raymond was right. He was bleeding. So
Yeah, that's true.
It was so weird just to think of Tommy just out there in the woods in the dark all by himself bleeding, and the way they found him, just, I don't know.
He just popped
appeared.
up and appeared.
Yeah, he's up to, well, let's talk about the Pastor Paul, because when he was looking, did you notice that he took out a compass and started like following?
I didn't know what that was. I thought it was a cross or something, because then he started singing with it. So I thought it was like a rosary.
Oh, maybe.
But maybe it was a compass.
It was a compass, just by how he was holding it. He was kind of like...
So maybe let's just say maybe he knew where Tommy was, because that he knew where the bike was. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He's really sketchy. He was a bit aggressive this episode, you know. He was, I guess
like he's always a little aggressive. For a pastor. It's kind of like, okay.
It seems like it doesn't take a lot to tip him off. That's what it is with him.
Well, I mean, we find out in this episode that he's been going to NA meetings because he's been dealing with addictions, with painkillers and alcohol.
Talk about so much for being anonymous, and someone called him out.
I know, right? And that his first kiss was with Beth in high school. Mark is the one that actually tells the cops all this stuff.
Yeah.
He's clearly trying to get Paul out of the picture and bring Paul down. I think he has some resentment towards Paul because of the whole situation with the wife, and he knows that Beth is leaning on Paul, the last few episodes. So I think he's just trying to get Paul out of the picture. He's just irritated by him.
And I think he just wants to find the killer. And I feel like he thinks that Paul's the one because there's nobody else in his mind to blame, because he's the weird one. He's always wants the limelight, wants the church. And it kind of makes sense, especially, I don't know, I don't really like Paul.
He has an eerie vibe, for sure.
Especially with the singing in the dark. You could have picked a happier song, not like a creepy church song. Yeah.
I mean, he is creepy by nature. I just don't think he's a murderer. Just because someone's creepy doesn't mean they're a murderer.
Yeah, I feel like this episode, even though it showed how creepy he was, it also showed that he probably isn't the killer.
Right.
Because you could see, I feel like Tommy is it's becoming more and more clear that he knows something. And it doesn't, like, Paul doesn't. If Paul and Tommy were in it together, there'd be more of a connection, you know, in this
Kind of like
episode.
with him and Vince.
Yeah.
And Susan, right? Yeah.
Paul's actions have been genuine more than anything.
Yeah.
It's his demeanor, his look, his mannerisms, staying out, like all of those things, throw out creepy. But all of his actions have been very genuine. Like he said, he was the first one to help. He was, always comforting Beth. So
Yeah.
they're trying to throw us off of our trail.
But it's pretty clear Tommy is up to something. They found him in the woods. He was on a mission to go somewhere. He tells his mom and David Tennant that
Carver.
that he found the hitchhiker's
Address.
info and was going to go there and meet him or something.
That is partly true, because in, I think, 2 episodes prior, we did see him go through her stuff and then find the hitchhiker. But I don't think he was going for the reason that he gave her, just to confront this guy or make him feel bad.
He said he wanted to show him the crossword puzzle.
Yeah, because he holds that with him for memory for Danny. Come on.
Right.
You
So
don't
he's
smell BS, Mom?
Yeah, he's kind of made it clear that he's not really that close to Danny,
Yeah.
and that he's definitely hiding something about Danny.
We may ask him, well, what were you going to do with it? What was it supposed to make him do?
Yeah,
And you
just to
kinda-
make him feel bad.
And he never really answers it. And I feel like because he's a kid, they don't push him as much.
But he, honestly, I feel like he had really good answers right away for what they were asking him. Like when he said, "Oh, I wanted my mom back," because I feel like if I was a kid lying at that age, I would sound a little more stuck on my answers. So I was surprised at that point. I kind of thought maybe he was being genuine about that, because every time they asked him something, he always had an answer. Oh, I missed my mom. Oh, I wanted to show him this, which usually kids get stuck if they're lying.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'm surprised by that.
yeah, or been
I don't
stuck
know,
in the
I
woods
was-
for a while to practice those lines. Just saying.
I know kids that were excellent
liars.
liars. Like, oh my gosh. I wasn't a good liar. I was manipulative, but I wasn't a good
I
liar.
was a good liar, but in a murder case, I don't know. I feel like it would show in my face.
I don't know. It depends on what's at stake.
Sorry, Mom, by the way. I just said I was a good liar.
Yeah.
It depends on what's at like if I told stuff but I'll get killed for it, I'm gonna lie, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I feel like that's what's the problem. I feel like he knows who the killer is, but he can't give it away or else he'll get in trouble.
Yeah. Feels threatened.
Yeah. He's clearly hiding something because there's something on his computer, hardcore, like something big, so much so that he'll ruin the computer and trash it. And that's why I also think Pastor Paul isn't the killer, because he sees him and he's like, what are you doing?
Right.
Just really genuine. But yeah, and I really hope that it connects with Owen, that Tommy called.
It looked like it did. When he hung up the phone, it looked like he thought about it. I don't think he wanted to let alarm or alert Tommy that he was thinking about it, so he played it cool on the phone. But as a journalist and with what's going on, when he hung up the phone, he had a look of, that's strange that he would ask me that. Yeah. Tommy did try to throw him off, though, and say that his dad had deleted something, so it could throw Owen off into looking more into Joe. But I feel like we got a little glimpse of he's thinking about it.
Yeah. I hope so. But yeah, so let's move on to Chloe and Dean and the parents. There is light in this episode, and it comes from them. Chloe's first day back at school is pretty tough. I'm sure it would be. People are going to act very different around.
Especially in a small town.
Yeah. So she calls up her boyfriend, and they have a nice little, dancing
release.
Yeah, exactly. But the parents catch her because, of course, you lose one child, you're gonna make sure that you don't lose the other one. Well, except later on, Joe kind of falls asleep, but we'll talk about that. So they go bowling and they just have a good time, which is really nice to see them be normal again, be a family, because the crime was kind of breaking them apart in a way, you know? Especially Beth with the baby now. It's more stress. What did you guys think?
I thought it was nice. I honestly felt really bad for Chloe because she's obviously getting neglected. It's like we see Chloe as a teenager and older in this throughout the series, but she's still, a young teen going through certain things, and she needs her mom and dad, and she hears them arguing over whether or not her mom's going to keep the baby, and she lost her brother. And I think in the episode before this, she'd been, irritated with Dean. She kind of blew him off. So it was nice to see her kind of get her groove back and have the support from her parents, and then for them to say, we understand, because she obviously felt really guilty and bad when they came in and saw her. But, instead they did the opposite and said, no, we understand. We get it. They went bowling, and then, she hit Danny's score. And
it was okay.
Yeah, and it was okay. And then they all cheered and stuff. So it was nice. I liked that part.
Yeah,
it was nice. The only thing that I did think rang a little false was at the end where she's drinking the milkshake and she says, well, calcium's good for the baby. And it's kind of like she's made this huge decision off of kind of just like this one nice afternoon with her family. And kind of all the other drama with the cheating and everything has kind of just been shoved away.
Pushed aside, yeah.
That was the only thing that rang like a little odd.
Well, I guess Mark is it was one time thing.
Yeah. True, but I do want to kind of see them resolve that, I guess.
Maybe after talking to Nina's mom, she was already swaying that way because she saw how miserable Nina's mom was. So I think that all of that, in the beginning of the episode was kind of in her mind. And she, I feel like she probably had that conversation and was like, whoa, I can't live like this. I still have another child. I have, I'm pregnant right now with another child. And she had to make a choice whether to move forward or to stay stuck.
Yeah. And I think Nina's mom, didn't they divorce the parents? I feel like they mentioned that in a previous episode that she's like now a single mom. Nina's, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But, and yeah, she's a sleeping pill person, drinking all the time. I think
watching TV.
Yeah. I think Beth realized that she doesn't want to be like that. She's got to fight the sadness, which is good because she's been crying a lot lately. She needs to smile and look up. But another suspect is becoming kind of more and more prevalent, which she was always kind of creepy. Susan Wright finally gives up that skateboard, just randomly gives it to Tommy.
When she did that, it took her down on my suspect list, because why would she just open up and announce that she's been holding this piece of evidence? So I don't know if Vince has something to do with it. It looks like it, but it also feels too obvious. But after her relationship with Vince has been going back and forth, maybe she doesn't want to protect him anymore. So she's like, here's a skateboard. We see at the end when he's closing the shed that he's in that he has a lot of skateboards in there. So maybe she's just over protecting him.
I felt like with the journalist, the editor, whose name I always forget.
I don't know her name.
Sliding it's like starts with a J or something. She slid some type of, evidence under Susan's door.
To kind of threaten her.
Yeah, to kind of threaten her. And I feel like that's what prompted Susan to get the skateboard away.
Well, it was her whole backstory, right? Because she called another newspaper and asked them to dig up Susan/Ruth's information. And then she had a stack of articles, something about Ruth's family, right? And her husband. So.
Yeah.
And I think Susan knew that they were probably the cops were going to come to her house with that. So might as well try and give it away. Maybe she was hoping that Tommy would just hide it. But he's not that dumb of a kid.
But he's also the detective's son, so she had to have known better, too.
I think that was more of a play on her part. I don't think... If she did have, anything to do with Danny's murder, more than what we assume that she just witnessed it, it's a powerful play to kind of put yourself in a position where you can eventually claim innocence and say, well, Vince made me hold the skateboard and I felt guilty and I don't want to do it anymore. But she might have had more, to do with it than that.
I feel like a lot of people in this episode, it's not much clearer who the killer is, but clearer how many people are hiding information that know stuff that just don't want to tell it. And I feel like her and Tommy are like key people in it.
I agree. Do you think... I still feel like Joe, Ellie's husband, has been really jumpy in this episode and really defensive. Do you guys feel that way? I know that that was a piece of evidence when Susan brought it to the house, but the way he was like, just drop it, instead of being like, oh, whose is that? Where did you get it? I just thought that was weird because even though he didn't want Tommy's handprints on it, it still was explainable to be like, oh, Susan Wright gave this. Like, those were the way that he just reacted, drop it so quick. I was like, why is he reacting like that?
I feel like he reacted in an okay way, but I don't trust him either. I'll get to that like at the end with the hut thing. But yeah, I don't. He's kind of. Yeah. Well, we could talk about that now, actually, because let's just, so at the end, we find out there's like a flashlight in the hut. Somebody's in there. So they go to see who's in there. And at this time, keep in mind, Pastor is with Tommy. Susan's in jail. Vince is with the dog. So who does that leave? And Joe is one of the first people that came to my mind.
Or Lars.
Or Raymond.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just feel like it's Joe because Joe, the boat, it was a family member that could only kind of know where it was, even though the pastor kind of knew where it was too. And just...
Tommy would have known, though, if his father left the house, don't you think?
Would he?
And Dylan was in there.
He was asleep.
He put Dylan to bed. I don't think he would have left them alone.
Especially after getting reamed out from Ellie. I think the last thing he would do is risk leaving them alone. I thought my reaction was Lars Pearson, the hiker. I didn't really think about Raymond. I always forget because he's in and out of episodes, but that could have been a good possibility too.
The guy also seemed just a lot taller than Ellie, and Joe is not.
Did he seem that much taller?
He seemed a little bit taller than her when he was behind her.
I didn't really see him that well behind her. But what was I gonna say? I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh, I also think maybe it could have been Mark trying to wipe off his handprints.
Mark is still kind of creepy and suspicious too, but
he's a smaller build.
Yeah.
Is that the place that Lars lives? That hut?
No, that's the place where the murder occurred.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So. I don't know. I feel like it's...
Lars' hut was more hidden in the woods. Yeah. That's what Danny was looking for. Oh, it could still be Dean.
Yeah.
Dean is still... I don't think it is
He's too nice.
But, yeah.
But then again,
I know.
It's the nice ones. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think... It doesn't necessarily have to be the murderer that's in there. You know, it could be Raymond trying to figure out, like, what next thing he's going to say. It could be anyone. Who has curiosity about the case. It could have been
hurt
Renee.
Ellie. That was interesting too. He didn't really hurt her. He just kind of knocked her down and kept running.
Yeah.
So that's why it could be a good possibility that was Joe, because maybe he doesn't want to hurt his own wife.
I feel like there's something up with him. Like, you think he's asleep, but he just like how when the murder happened, he was asleep too, right?
He was out of town.
People are always asleep. Yeah. But I said that last time. I keep forgetting the third time. But still, I'm sticking to my guns.
Sticking to it.
But Raymond, I feel like, would kind of be a good idea too, because he's in and out of episodes, and you forget about him, and he always knows. He knows things, even though it's the voices. But I mean,
that could be a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
But it also might be Vince. Maybe he left the dog because he steals Susan's dog and she freaks out.
And he does have a hoodie on, right, in that scene with the dog.
I feel like Vince always has a hoodie on.
Yeah.
So
he's a hoodie type of guy.
He almost shoots the dog, but he doesn't. So maybe he's not a monster, though.
But why did he want to shoot the dog? Why did he take the dog to begin with? You know, it made it sound like there was like something the dog could lead people to something.
And the other thing I noticed too, when he took the dog, they obviously had some type of previous relationship or knew each other really well, because a dog, if random stranger's going to take a dog, it's going to start barking a lot. So that dog didn't make any noise and he just slipped away with it. So him and Susan still have some type of connection together, obviously. And I think I feel like the threat to shoot the dog was more a threat towards Susan. Like, oh, like you guys are in my life. Like you guys are ruining things from your threat to my life. And he wanted to shoot the dog, but you know.
I think that's his birth mom. I'm going to go out and say that.
I've been thinking that too.
Yeah. Because it's something close, you know? It's not like an aunt or anything. Yeah. It's something. And when she said that the other mom's memory's losing it, that's better for us.
Yeah.
And that would make sense too, why she would be protecting him, because only a mother would protect their son in that way if she knew that he was involved in something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. I kind of got that feeling maybe she's like his biological mom, or she abandoned him at one point, which is why he's got so much anger towards her and he doesn't view her really as his mom.
Do you think we're going to see any more cameos from Ellie's sister? Like, is she just
maybe
done?
Maybe. I mean,
she said she knew something, but
I feel like
they never went back to her.
Yeah.
I feel like
they can't leave that alone. If she said, I saw something, I feel like they can't just be like, I saw something, we never see her again.
It was kind of one of those things, though, where you thought she was saying it just to get money out of her. So that could be a case. But I feel like they'll bring her back, you know,
because
they
desperation.
didn't have to introduce her.
Yeah, they need the info. Yeah. I think in Broadchurch, I don't remember, I think they do pay her and give her she gives info, but I forget what it was. It's not that big of a spoiler. Sorry for saying that. But do you think Vince did it? What are your guys' thoughts on Vince?
I definitely think Vince has something to do with it. I still kind of think there's multiple people involved, and that he had something on Danny and Tommy, like they were his minions and he's a drug dealer or something like that, and like that's why he has a skateboards, because he like traffics the drugs through skateboards or something crazy. And so while he may not have murdered Danny, he either was there and saw it happen, or gave the cue to make it happen or something.
I think that Tommy right now is leading and has the most to do with it. I think Vince does something bad. He does bad things, whatever it is. But Tommy has been doing things that are directly related to trying to cover up Danny's murder. So, for example, like Tommy, in the first episode, we see him deleting all the text messages from Danny. In this episode, we see, only if he was involved would he be willing to go out in the middle of the night, veer off and do that if he was trying to really cover something up. We see him breaking. Obviously, he's going to have to explain to his parents what happened to his computer, but he's willing to go to those lengths and create lies to cover it up. So right now, Tommy's definitely leading for me. Vince hasn't... Like, he just does weird stuff, but I haven't seen him do anything that's really directly linked to Danny's murder.
I feel like he does something like illegal, like maybe hunts wild, like endangered species, you know, something
weird,
but not connected to, like, he's not the murderer.
But I don't think Tommy is the murderer either.
No, he's too small.
Yeah, he's too small. Yeah.
But I think that maybe he's destroying his computer because his dad's the killer, so when he explains why, he doesn't really have to explain why he destroyed the computer, because
That's a good
his
theory.
Dad will be like, okay.
Like maybe he's trying to protect his dad because he knows his dad's... But his cell phone, though, that had all the calls to Danny.
Well, they were in something together, I'm going to say. And I don't really want to give... because Broadchurch is influencing me, like the how he died, or was killed. how he was killed, I should say. Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. But
we get a reappearance from Renee, Adrian's favorite.
Yeah. And it was just like, oh, just go somewhere. We don't need to have pity for you. Okay, just leave. Just don't come back and don't be blowing up Owen's phone and don't take pity from Beth because you're sleeping in your car.
How did she even see that she was in the car?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, she's just, at this point, unless they use her character in a really creative way that links back in some way to Rosemont or whatever, I don't want her there anymore. Just
it's a distraction.
Kind of like an unnecessary storyline.
Yeah.
And even meeting the mom from Rosemont, I didn't think that was super necessary.
No, Rosemont's not really necessary.
Yeah. Because she didn't give much information. She's like, oh, yeah, I just drink and pop pills now.
Unless it ties back. You know, unless Rosemont, the killer in Rosemont, is linked to the killer in Gracepoint.
Yeah. Then that'd be kind of cool, but I feel like that's a stretch.
Yeah.
I think that part was probably just to prompt whether or not Beth was going to keep the baby.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it didn't need that.
Yeah.
And it just needed the bowling, and we were good, you know?
It could have milkshake. Savvier writing going on right there. Yeah.
So who do you guys think is the killer now?
I still go with Vince and that teacher who we haven't been introduced to. So
oh yeah.
Vince and my pen just died. Yeah.
I like your theory about Joe. I'm leaning towards Joe.
It's a pretty good theory, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Joe. Or maybe, maybe Pastor's just being nice and he's really up to something. I don't think so. I think it's Joe.
And then the end scene, we saw Carver fall out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's dying.
Like
That's what he said.
He actually admitted to that. I was surprised that he said, "I think I'm dying."
It stinks because she could have gotten the guy.
Yeah.
She's too nice. I would have been like, deuces. Like
I'll call the cops for you as I'm running. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess any last thoughts about the episode or?
No. I mean,
I'm getting excited to get towards the end.
Yeah. Let's move into predictions.
Nice.
Cool.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Who's gonna kick it off?
What do you think?
Oh, well.
I was just writing down prediction. I zoned out.
I know. I keep writing everything I'm going to say down. I think next episode Susan breaks, and Vince is kind of involved. I think the dog dies.
No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I think the dog dies. I think he might do it.
They're not that bad.
And Carver gets kicked off the case, and LA has to take control of the situation because he can't breathe, essentially. Yeah.
I don't think Carver's going to get kicked off the case. There's only 2 episodes left. I think it's going to get close, but he's going to push and fight for it. I think he has to go.
I said he'd get kicked off. I didn't say he was going to stop working the case.
Oh, okay.
Get kicked off the case.
Yeah, and then maybe he solves it, and then he dies. No, just kidding. No. I think that obviously something's going to happen with Tommy because they're going to see his computer's broken. I agree with you. I think Susan's going to break. I think that whatever Vince is up to is going to be revealed in the next episode because if he's not the killer, like they need to get to that. The last episode needs to be focused around that. So we're going to find out, oh, Vince is into
I agree.
wild hunting or whatever. I think that Owen still has some more in him to kind of, I just feel like Owen is going to be a key part because everyone's kind of like, oh, Owen, you keep messing things up. So I feel like he's finally going to get that, oh, thank you, Owen. You did somehow in his investigation, you know, because he's been picking up little bits from now on.
Maybe he's the killer. Maybe that's why Tommy called him. Because I don't know.
No.
Why not?
No.
That'd be kind of a cool twist. I'd be down with Owen being the killer. I just realized
I would believe his boss before Owen.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the whole point. That's why they're getting us, guys. It's Owen. I think that Vince and Susan's relationship is revealed next episode too. We're gonna find out that she's his mom. I'm calling it.
Also based on the previews, we see Pastor Paul kind of filling Beth up a little bit.
Oh yeah, and she's just blinking.
Yeah.
It's not really showing that much. I don't know. And we find out that Susan, I feel like she's talking about Vince in the preview, saying that he killed.
We see he's arrested too in the preview.
Because she lies or whatever. Yeah.
It's a heavy Vince episode, I think. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for this episode.
Cool.
Pretty cool. Almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah.
2 more. So where can people find you on the interwebs, guys?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Stay Classy Anna.
You all can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Miss Adrian Snow. That's MSADRIANSNOW.
And I'm Kelly McInerney, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
And we're off next week.
Oh,
just so you guys remember, we're off next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy.
Yay.
Turkey.
Thank you.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.